Welcome, radiant souls, to Golden Fortune Leo, the space where astrology sheds its glitter and starts speaking the language of real life. I'm your longtime researcher, the kind of person who's spent too many late nights comparing birth charts with psychology journals and sipping lukewarm tea while decoding why the universe insists on teaching through heartbreak. Today, we're diving into something both poetic and practical, karma, Leo style. The topic? Your ex-lover finally realizing they've truly lost you. And I must say, the cosmic timing is impeccable. Now, let's talk, Leo, not as a reader to a zodiac sign, but as one spirit who understands another. There's something majestic about your energy this season. The universe has been conducting a quiet audit, and karma, that divine accountant who never forgets a single emotional receipt, has begun balancing your books with stunning precision. The pain you carried in silence, the love you gave too freely, the loyalty that went unreturned, all of it is being recalculated with interest. The universe has a wicked sense of humor, and this time, it's laughing on your side. This isn't the kind of story where your ex sends a sentimental midnight message and the music swells with romantic hope. No, this is the year of triumph 2025. And the chosen ones among Leos are learning the art of letting the past watch them glow from afar. You've walked through fire, and instead of turning to ash, you became gold, refined, radiant, and no longer reachable by those who once took you for granted. Your former lover is just now discovering what every astrologer could have told them: when you lose a Leo, you don't just lose a person, you lose sunlight. They thought you'd always orbit around their little world. But the truth is, Leo was the center of gravity all along. They mistook your warmth for weakness, your compassion for compliance, your generosity for a lack of boundaries. But here's the cosmic punchline: the lion never begs the lamb to stay. The lion simply roars, and the entire forest remembers who rules it. Somewhere out there, your ex is replaying every scene in their mind, wondering when the story shifted from them being adored to being irrelevant. That's the power of karma. It doesn't send a memo, it sends a mirror. What's beautiful here isn't revenge, it's restoration. This reading isn't about pity or nostalgia, it's about equilibrium. It's about the elegant return of self-respect dressed as destiny. Karma doesn't come to punish, it comes to teach, and it has chosen you as both the student and the example. You've learned to stop chasing explanations, to stop editing your emotions for the comfort of others. That silence you've created, that dignified distance, it's become louder than any argument you could have made. It echoes with clarity: I've evolved. So as we begin today's message, remember this: your story isn't about who left, but about who stayed you. Your heart, once cracked by disappointment, has become a vessel for wisdom. You are no longer seeking validation from those who couldn't see your worth. You are basking in your own light, and my dear Leo, that light is blinding to anyone who once tried to dim it. The universe is not asking you to go back, it's asking you to rise. Because this isn't just karma paying a visit, it's the universe handing you the crown you always deserved. And trust me, Leo, nothing and no one shines quite like you when you finally remember you're the sun. When the cards spoke of a message in a bottle, I had to smile. It's such a cinematic way for the universe to speak to a Leo through poetry, timing, and symbolism. You see, when the universe wants to reach a Leo, it doesn't text, it doesn't email, and it certainly doesn't call during dinner. It sends its message the old-fashioned way, floating it across the vast ocean of time until you, the lion with 9 lives and a flair for the dramatic, are finally ready to open it. Because the universe knows something about you, Leo, you don't do anything halfway, not even destiny. Somewhere right now, someone is drafting a message they swore they'd never send. Maybe it's that ex who used to roll their eyes at your big energy. Maybe it's the friend who ghosted you when life got complicated. Or maybe it's someone who once thought you'd never stop waiting for them to do the right thing. But this message, this quiet ripple returning to shore, isn't really about them. It's about you. It's about what your energy has become since you stopped chasing closure and started creating peace. The bottle travels not because of nostalgia, but because your vibration called it home. Its karmic GPS unerring, undeniable, and occasionally hilarious in its timing. Leos have an extraordinary way of teaching lessons without meaning to. You don't lecture, you simply evolve. You step away from chaos, build your garden, nurture your soul, and suddenly the universe starts tapping people on the shoulder, whispering, "See that one? That's what self-worth looks like." You don't even notice it happening, because you're too busy doing something ordinary yet magnificent, watering a plant that finally grew, cooking dinner with your favorite playlist on, or laughing alone at a movie that doesn't need anyone else's commentary. That's the paradox of your magic. You heal privately, but your glow is public. So when that message finally arrives, maybe as a text that pops up while you're half asleep, or as a sudden memory that jolts someone awake at 3 a.m., understand it for what it is. Not a romantic overture, not a door reopening, but a signpost from the universe saying, "Look how far you've come." Divine timing doesn't rush, and karma never forgets. What once chased you for validation now circles back to ask for forgiveness. The irony is almost comical. You spend months learning detachment, and just when you've perfected the art of not caring, the past develops excellent Wi-Fi. And that brings us to home, Leo. No place like home hits differently now, doesn't it? Because home isn't a location anymore, it's a vibration. It's that internal silence that doesn't ache anymore, the laughter that doesn't need an audience, the stillness that feels like a luxury instead of loneliness. Somewhere along the way, you stopped mistaking noise for connection. You realized that peace doesn't need applause. You began cultivating a home within yourself, one where no one else holds the key. You've stepped into your Empress energy, not the picture-perfect version of it, but the real one. The one that knows that self-care isn't vanity, it's spiritual hygiene. You've stopped offering discounts on your time, your love, your energy. You no longer audition for roles in other people's stories, you're too busy writing your own. And perhaps for the first time in a long time, you've become both the author and the main character. Maybe you've started creating again, designing, painting, speaking, building that YouTube channel or business you once called a dream. Maybe you've rediscovered the rhythm of your own body after years of bending to someone else's tempo. Every step you take now is infused with self-respect, and the universe notices. It's been applauding quietly from the sidelines, smiling like a proud mentor who already knew you'd get here once you stopped doubting your worth. Here's something I've observed after years of studying both astrology and human behavior. Leos have an almost alchemical ability to turn solitude into art. Even when you're alone, there's something cinematic about it. Your morning coffee feels like a ritual. Your playlist could score an indie film. Your reflection in the mirror, finally unburdened by comparison, looks like someone you'd root for. You've become the kind of person your past self would look up to, and that's the most profound kind of healing. Now, let's not ignore the humor of it all. People love to call Leos dramatic, but let's be honest, you're not dramatic, you're thorough. You don't sort of heal. You heal with soundtracks, candlelight, and perhaps a heartfelt monologue whispered to your mirror that would earn standing ovations if anyone else heard it. You don't just let go, you release with style. The universe gave you theatrical flair for a reason, and frankly, it's part of your charm. So when that message in the bottle finally arrives, don't read it with trembling hands or wistful hope. Read it like a critic revisiting an old script, grateful for the experience but aware that you've outgrown the role. Because you have. The bottle isn't a doorway back, it's a souvenir. Proof that you survived the storm, built a lighthouse, and learned to guide yourself home. That, Leo, is the quiet comedy of karma. It sends back the echoes of what you once wanted only after you've learned to live without them. But this time, you're not waiting by the shore. You're already inside your own kingdom, sipping tea in peace, knowing that the message was never really from them, it was always from the universe, saying, "Well done, my lion. You finally understand what home truly means." Karma has a flair for symmetry. It's poetic, really. Just when you finally stop glancing over your shoulder, the past finds your new address and knocks on your door like an uninvited guest who somehow remembered your birthday. It might be your ex-lover, armed with nostalgia and a shaky apology. It could be that old friend who vanished when things got complicated, or perhaps a former boss suddenly rediscovering your invaluable contribution right after realizing how irreplaceable you actually were. The universe, my dear Leo, has impeccable comedic timing. But make no mistake, these people aren't returning to save you. They're returning to face themselves. Your absence, once overlooked, has now become their most profound teacher. When you walked away, you didn't just vacate a space, you left behind a mirror. And now they must confront the reflection of who they were when they had your light, and who they've become without it. That's karma's favorite lesson. It never punishes, it simply reveals. This, my lion, is where psychology meets astrology. Leos are ruled by the sun, the unwavering source of warmth, clarity, and vitality. When the sun leaves, the temperature drops. The garden withers. Life slows down. So don't be surprised when those who once underestimated your radiance now find themselves shivering in emotional winter. You were their solar energy, and they didn't pay the bill on time. Now they're fumbling in the dark, whispering old phrases like "I was wrong, I shouldn't have said that," or the ever-popular, "Can we talk?" As though time, distance, and wisdom haven't already rewritten the script. And yet, your heart hesitates. You feel that gentle tug, the part of you that still remembers the good days, the laughter, the warmth, the softness that made you stay longer than you should have. But here's the truth that years of human observation, spiritual study, and a fair bit of heartbreak have taught me: remorse is not readiness, and regret is not redemption. Some people don't actually miss you, they miss how you made them feel. They miss the reflection of themselves in your light, not the person you truly are. It's tempting, isn't it? To believe in their promises, to think that maybe this time it's different. But that's the trap of the heart. It remembers comfort even when the mind recalls chaos. This is where Buddhist wisdom offers its quiet rescue. Attachment is the root of suffering. The lesson here isn't about punishing the past, but about releasing it. You've already outgrown the emotional economy that required you to give endlessly in hopes of being chosen. Now, you understand something deeper: peace is more valuable than closure. So if the past shows up dressed in nostalgia, remember you don't owe it an explanation, a conversation, or even an audience. Sometimes, the most enlightened act of forgiveness is silence. Smile. Bless them in your thoughts. Then close the door beautifully, permanently, and with all the grace that comes from knowing your worth. Because Leo, true power doesn't shout, it simply stops entertaining what no longer aligns. And yet, as every tarot reader knows, the cards never lie. There's still a tremor in your energy, a flicker of hesitation that whispers, "What if they've changed?" That's not weakness, it's empathy. Leos are creatures of immense heart. You love with your entire being, with that radiant solar plexus that fuels your courage and compassion. But wisdom hard-earned through both joy and heartbreak has reshaped how you love. You've learned that discernment is love's most mature form. It's love with boundaries. The decision before you isn't really between past and future, it's between the person you were and the person you've become. The old you might have rushed back, convinced that love could fix what pride and immaturity once broke. The new you understands that love without growth is just nostalgia wearing expensive perfume. It smells familiar but doesn't last. So if they come rushing in, slow them down. Let their actions, not their adjectives, do the talking. Watch whether they've done the shadow work or if they're still performing sincerity for applause. Ask yourself if this person is capable of meeting you where you now stand, or if they're just here to visit who you used to be. And don't feel guilty if a small part of you enjoys the irony of their timing. It's only human to smile when karma delivers front row seats to your glow up. Still, satisfaction is fleeting, self-respect endures. You've spent too much time rebuilding your peace to let nostalgia lease the space again. Remember, every Leo this year is facing what I like to call the mirror phase. It's not a test, it's a reflection. The universe is showing you echoes of your old lessons, not to tempt you, but to confirm that you've graduated. You're not being challenged, you're being celebrated. These encounters aren't cosmic punishments, they're proof of evolution. They're the universe saying, look how far you've come. Each familiar face that reappears is simply a checkpoint between who you were and who you are becoming. So take it as validation, not invitation. You've mastered the art of turning heartbreak into wisdom, longing into self-love, and silence into strength. The past may return for an encore, but you're no longer in the same theater. You've moved to a bigger stage, one lit entirely by your own light. And that's the greatest irony of all, the very moment you stop needing closure, you become it. The peace you radiate now is the karmic balance to every tear once shed. You are not here to reopen old chapters, you are here to write new ones, with steady hands and a wiser heart. So when the past comes knocking, remember you're not obligated to answer. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for everyone involved is to stay where you are, happy, healed, and quietly untouchable. Because Leo, your true power was never in being chased or chosen, it's in being free. Now, let's talk destiny, because if there's one word that belongs in Leo's vocabulary, it's that one. When the star and the sun appear together in a reading, it isn't coincidence, it's cosmic choreography. It's the universe stepping onto your stage, dimming the house lights, and saying, "All right, my lion, you're up." You, Leo, are in what I like to call your rising star era. The year of triumph 2025 isn't just an astrological forecast, it's a vibration, a frequency, an energetic truth. This is not about luck, it's about alignment. This is the season when your life begins to mirror your effort, your integrity, and the quiet resilience that got you here. You've spent years creating, writing, building, performing, leading, loving, and doing it often without applause. The world didn't see the late nights, the heartbreaks, the internal wars between pride and vulnerability. You worked through it, not because someone was watching, but because something inside you refused to settle. And now, that same silence that once felt suffocating is turning sacred. The stillness that once seemed like punishment has become your sanctuary. You are not hidden anymore, Leo. You're revealed. The universe didn't delay your success, it was preparing you for a kind of recognition that doesn't evaporate under pressure. The isolation you once cursed was not exile, it was incubation. It was spiritual training for a Leo who would eventually learn to shine without burning out. You weren't being ignored, you were being refined. The universe was sharpening your roar, molding your compassion into discernment, and teaching you to glow from within rather than wait for others to hand you light. There's a reason Leo rules the heart. When a Leo's heart heals, everything else in their universe follows. The finances, the friendships, the creative flow, it all begins to synchronize like an orchestra tuning itself before the grand symphony. When you love yourself without condition, you stop chasing validation and start attracting authenticity. And that, my lion, is when you rise not because you're loud, but because your silence has become radiant. The chosen ones among Leos will not need to announce themselves this year, the energy will speak first. And of course, the cosmic comedy continues. The person who once broke your heart will notice this transformation, and yes, it will sting. Not because you're winning, but because you're at peace, and peace, when found without someone's permission, is the loudest statement of all. They'll feel that karmic echo, that gentle vibration of loss that whispers, "You had the sun, and you let it set. But you'll be too busy thriving to notice." The irony is delicious. When you finally stop needing their acknowledgement, that's when everyone suddenly wants to give it. The moment you stop chasing love, it comes running in like it just realized what it lost. The universe loves that kind of timing. It's the ultimate punchline. Once you stop caring who's watching, the universe floods you with everything you used to chase: love that feels like partnership, work that feels like purpose, friends who don't just celebrate you but also sit quietly beside you when life pauses. That's not luck, Leo. That's divine calibration. You've stopped living for applause and started living in alignment, and the two are rarely found together. And so we arrive at the heart of it all. You're standing exactly where you're supposed to be. Between the past that taught you and the future that rewards you. The story has already turned in your favor. Your only task now is to keep your energy clean. Not perfect, just clean. If someone from your past comes knocking, remember, not every knock deserves an answer. You've built peace that doesn't need permission or validation. You've become the home you used to look for in others. That, Leo, is the real victory. Your ex-lover may realize they've lost you for good, but that's not a tragedy. That's transformation. Because you didn't lose them, you shed the version of yourself who accepted too little. You let go of the version who equated love with survival. You've become the evolved form of your own heart, still warm, still generous, but no longer negotiable. Now, every sunrise belongs to you. Every idea, every creative spark, every laugh that arrives without anxiety, that's your reward. That's what karma looks like when it finally lands on your side. And yes, it's not only allowed, it's necessary for you to enjoy it. Dance a little. Be extra. Wear something gold and unnecessary just because it makes you feel like royalty. Order dessert first. Let yourself take up space in your own happiness. You've earned this chapter, Leo, not through luck, but through courage, consistency, and an unshakable heart that refused to dim even when the world looked away. Because in the grand narrative of the cosmos, you were never meant to be a supporting character in someone else's story. You were, and always will be, the main character of your own redemption arc. The Year of Triumph 2025 is the sequel you've been waiting for, the one where the chosen ones finally step into their rightful light, not to prove anything, but simply to exist as they are, brilliant, unapologetic, divine. Now, let's get philosophical for a moment. Sometimes closure doesn't arrive in a neat sentence, a text, or an apology. Sometimes it comes in the quiet realization that you're no longer waiting for one. The heart doesn't slam doors anymore, it simply walks away without resentment. That's the spiritual upgrade. You've learned the greatest love of all, the one that begins and ends with self-respect. So as you continue into this next cycle, keep glowing. Keep choosing peace over pride, growth over drama, and laughter over longing. Don't waste your light explaining yourself to people still searching for their own. The universe has already signed off on your next chapter, and it's going to be luminous. Every challenge that once tried to break you is now part of your legend. Every scar is an autograph from life itself, proof that you've lived, loved, and learned. The coming months will bring new opportunities for expansion, but not all of them will glitter. Some will arrive quietly, humbly, disguised as routine moments, yet those will be the ones that change everything. Pay attention to what feels peaceful, not just what looks impressive. In the energy of 2025, the universe favors authenticity over ambition. And before we close today's reflection, I'll say this: if this message resonates with your soul, it's because you've outgrown old timelines and stepped into your real one. The universe doesn't reward pretending, it rewards truth. And your truth, Leo, is that you were never meant to go back. You were meant to rise. So keep rising, my lion. Keep shining without asking permission. Keep walking with that mix of dignity and mischief that only Leos can pull off. And when the light feels too bright, remember it's not too bright. It's finally yours. If this message found you at the right moment, share it. Pass it on. Subscribe to Golden Fortune Leo, where we don't just read the stars, we learn to live among them. Because life isn't about waiting for the universe to deliver miracles, it's about realizing that you already are one.